A man carrying a rifle and a handgun opened fire at a medical office building in Tulsa, Oklahoma just yesterday, killing 4 people and injuring several others before taking his own life. He had, well, what do you know, an AR-15 style firearm, as well as a handgun. Nobody can explain why he would go to all the trouble of getting something like an AR-15 when hammers and machetes are just as effective at killing lots of people, according to the right. To be clear though, you might be thinking of the wrong mass shooting when I say that this happened in a medical office building, because there was also a shooting yesterday where a security guard was killed by an inmate who eventually killed himself. That was at a Miami Valley Hospital in Dayton, Ohio. That is a different hospital shooting. In America, we have multiple hospital-based mass shootings, Adrienne. It's an amazing system that we've set up here.
Yeah, and it's interesting how these individuals who are supposed to be pivotal parts of our society and truly contribute to it by helping people, teachers and doctors, medical people, are now in positions where what? People are gonna talk about arming them? Get out of here. These people have a job to do, whether it is guiding young lives or whether it is saving actual lives. And yet still, lawmakers aren't willing to take away the guns, make them go away, as opposed to trying to arm these individuals. And I feel so just incredibly bad for these medical individuals who've just been through COVID, and they sacrifice so much and they put so many things on the line, even their own lives and risk, and then to find this, to have this attack. And this really shows you that gun violence is permeating every aspect of our society. And we're not gonna stop until we get control over the guns.
Exactly. And in the meantime, so long as we don't have that control, let's see. There was also a shooting at a high school here in LA. There was a shooting at a Walmart in Pennsylvania. This, by the way, is not all of the shootings that happened. These are just some of the particularly egregious shootings that have happened. In fact, there was an investigation that found 24 separate shooting incidents just yesterday. The Gun Violence Archive, though, they documented 60. So it all really comes down to how many people need to be shot for us to take notice literally at all, even for analysis like this, let alone for actual news coverage. Again, there's just too much gun violence in America for us to do that. And that's the people who actually act on it. In the background, you also have the level of just people like this Oklahoma man who is threatening repeatedly to bomb and shoot students at LA schools for some reason. Thankfully, he didn't at least do it, but that is the sort of terror that we are constantly living under. The actual violence that's right now, as I'm saying this, there is an active shooting somewhere in America that is going on. And there are also the threats being made against schools, or being made against synagogues, or being made against reproductive care facilities. The terror just never ends. Any final thoughts?
It's as much as we definitely need to address the guns, we also have to look at how we got here, because it's not just capitalism, it's also this patriarchal regime. We've seen months of people attacking this thought of masculinity is dying, or, oh, you don't know, real men are being turned into children, and children, aren't being allowed to grow up to be real men. All of this stuff that is just toxic as hell. And also coming out of this pandemic, we do have a lot of mental health problems across the board, but also we have a patriarchy problem. And we need to address these things, because as much as the guns, removing them will mean people kill fewer people at once, it's still not necessarily gonna address that underlying issue of people engaging in violence and seeing that as the answer. So we could do this as a 1-2 punch, it doesn't matter, but we just need to do it.
Yeah, you're totally right. And it is weird when they will identify that like some of these shooters consume pornography or play video games, when that is the vast majority of the population. Most people, particularly people who don't shoot people, consume those things. But they don't think it's fair to focus on any of the potential political or ideological things. So if you're into Fallout, the game, then that's worthy of conversation. But if you have engaged with a ton of like online forums, like making misogynistic or anti-Semitic or racist comments, that is not a contributing factor. That is nothing. If you play Mortal Kombat, maybe we can get into it. If you listen to certain music, maybe. But like fantasizing about committing acts of violence against particular people, whether based on gender or religion or ideology or race, that is not worthy of bringing up in this conversation. By the way, we had a great suggestion from someone in the audience that we should have a ticker on the side of the screen tracking the gun violence. It would be difficult, as we're describing, to know exactly what to include in there. But according to the Gun Violence Archive, there have already been 233 mass shootings so far this year. That's not shootings, that's mass shootings. So at least 4 people have to be shot. So if you whip out an AR-15 and you shoot 3 people, that is not a mass shooting, just to be clear.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.